We are about to dissect a financial machine that has fused the highest political office in the world with a private, family-owned crypto empire. This is the story of World Liberty Financial, and it's a story that could fundamentally change our understanding of money and power. It all starts with this number, nearly $5 billion. That's the on-paper valuation of the Trump family's venture into cryptocurrency. To put that in perspective for you, this one digital asset is now theoretically worth more than their entire famous real estate portfolio. So how on earth is that even possible?
Right, so how does a digital token, almost out of nowhere, generate that kind of wealth? But maybe more importantly, what is the real cost of a system like this? A system that merges the power of the presidency with, for all intents and purposes, a private family-run bank.
Okay, to really get this, you have to see the two sides of the coin. On one side, you've got the cash flow from fees. It's about $300 million a year, which is, not bad at all. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real prize, the hidden part, is the almost $5 billion in locked-up, unreleased equity. And that is the end game.
So let's pop the hood on this thing and see how the machine actually works. It's a pretty complex system, but once you see the different parts, you'll understand just how brilliantly it's been designed to concentrate wealth.
So there are three main components you need to know about. First, you have World Liberty Financial. That's the protocol. Think of it as the rulebook, the digital constitution for this whole new financial world. Then you've got USD1, that's the stablecoin, and it acts as the engine, the fuel that makes the whole system run. And finally, you have WLFI, the governance token. This is where the real equity, the family's paper fortune, is actually held.
And how does all that wealth get to the family? Well, it's funneled through this company, DT Marks DEFI LLC. It's a corporate vehicle with two incredibly simple but powerful functions. First, to hold a massive 22.5% of all the equity tokens, and second, to rake in 75% of all the cash profits. It's really a masterclass in legal engineering, designed to channel money directly to the family while keeping them at a safe distance from the day-to-day stuff. Okay, now let's get into the engine room. Let's look at how this paper wealth is actually generated. This is the secret sauce, right? This is the alchemy that turns digital tokens into a $5 billion fortune.
This quote from the research report, it just lays the whole strategy bare. It's not about the money you make day to day from fees. It's about controlling the supply of your own token in a market where you also get to write the rules. That is the key.
And this visualizes that strategy perfectly. Just look at this chart. You've got 100 billion total tokens, but the vast majority are held by insiders, like the family's 22.5 billion, or they're locked away in the treasury. The amount that's actually available for the public to trade is tiny. This is a classic low-float strategy. It creates this artificial scarcity, which makes it incredibly easy to push the price up with very little buying pressure.
So let's go back to that iceberg analogy. Above the water, you have the part everyone can see, that impressive $292.5 million a year from fees. It looks like the main event, right?
But the real story, the immense power, is what's hidden below the surface. That nearly $5 billion in locked, unseen value. This is generational wealth, and the entire system is designed to protect it and grow it until the perfect moment arrives to cash it out.
So how do you cash out? How do you turn all that paper wealth into cold, hard cash? Well, you build a flywheel. A flywheel that uses the political power of the presidency to literally create the market you need to sell into.
It's a shockingly simple three-step process. First, you use executive power to get favorable laws passed, like this Genius Act. The act essentially says that any major company dealing in digital money has to use a federally approved stablecoin. Second, that law creates a captive market for your product, USD1, which, what a surprise, just happens to meet all the new rules. And third, as demand for your stablecoin explodes, the value of your locked equity, those WLFI tokens, skyrockets.
And here it is. This is the playbook laid out for everyone to see. It's a direct pipeline from the White House to the family's private company. Political action creates a protected market, which drives demand for their stablecoin, which in turn creates the massive liquidity needed to cash out their billions in locked tokens. It's the perfect closed loop.
For over a century, the U.S. Federal Reserve has had one primary job: to maintain the stability of the U.S. dollar. It is a fundamental function of the government.
But the Genius Act does something pretty radical.
By creating a legal framework that just happens to favor one specific, compliant stablecoin, USD1, it effectively outsources this core government function to a private, for-profit company.
And in doing so, it creates what you can only really describe as a shadow central bank, an entity that wields all the power of the dollar, but with zero public mandate and zero accountability.
And who's running this shadow bank? The First Family. This isn't just a conflict of interest. This is the effective privatization of the US dollar itself, a transfer of monetary power from the state to a single family.
Now, a system this powerful, this private central bank, well, it's going to attract a lot of attention. And with that attention comes money, big money, from all over the world. But you have to understand, this isn't just investment. It's a very sophisticated pay-to-play system with massive geopolitical consequences.
Just look at the evidence. Tron founder Justin Sun invests $30 million into WLFI while he's under an SEC investigation, an investigation that is later reportedly dropped. An Abu Dhabi-affiliated group buys $2 billion worth of the USD1 stablecoin as part of a deal that ends with a presidential pardon for the CEO of Binance. This ecosystem is becoming a settlement layer for geopolitical deal-making.
But what about the little guy? You know, the public investors who are buying into this dream. Well, the project's official documents, the gold paper, they promise them a say, a vote on the future of the project. But this promise, as we're about to see, is a very carefully constructed trap. So the promise is written right there in black and white. The community will get to vote on when to unlock the rest of the public's tokens. It sounds great. It sounds like decentralized governance, a core idea in crypto. But you have to ask the critical question, who is the community? Who actually controls that vote? This chart is the smoking gun. On-chain data from a critical vote in January 2026 shows that just nine insider wallets controlled almost 60% of the total voting power. The public's tokens are mostly locked up and can't even be used to vote. So the whole community vote, it's just theater. The insiders decide when and if the public ever gets their money.
And that brings us to the final, chilling realization here. The public, the regular investors who are buying into this, they think they're getting in on the ground floor of the next big thing. But they're not. They are, without knowing it, providing the exit liquidity for the biggest deal in modern history, the privatization of the US dollar. And that leaves us with a terrifying question. What happens to the world when the off switch for the entire global financial system is in the hands of a single family?